Get higher fast, they say it's the dream, but the silence feels louder than it seems. Applications set like ships in the dark. No replies, no spark, no start. You think it's a paper, just words on a page, but it's a system to break out the cage. Get higher fast, it's more than your past. You're the go-to pro, let the world know. Get higher fast, leave the doubt in the past. Worried that looking at the years you wear, like time erased what you bring to the chair. But it's not about age, it's the way you play. Pushing yourself, lead the way, the way. Connect to the ones who make the calls, shake the fear, break the walls. Get higher fast, it's more than your past. You're the go-to pro, let the world know. Get higher fast, leave the doubt in the past. Worried that looking at the years you wear, like time erased what you bring to the chair. But it's not about age, it's the way you play. Pushing yourself, lead the way, the way. Connect to the ones who make the calls, shake the fear, break the walls. Get higher fast, it's more than your past. You're the go-to pro, let the world know. Get higher fast, leave the doubt in the past. Get higher fast, it's more than your past. You're the go-to pro, let the world know. Get higher fast.
You scroll through hundreds of job descriptions, but they all sound the same. You spend so much time on every application, but it doesn't seem to matter. You send off application after application, but never hear back. You thought the interview went so well, but it's a no. You jump through all the hoops. The news keeps saying how there are all these employers that are struggling to find people to hire. So why does finding a great job have to be so hard? It doesn't seem very logical or fair. It's not. The system is broken. It's not your fault. The process most people go through to get a job is awful. But here's the good news. The system isn't very smart. In fact, it's downright dumb. It can be beaten. How? Most prospective employers and employees today are using the same old tired strategies that have been around forever. It's like professional camouflage. Everybody just blends into the crowd. But you don't have to be that way anymore. You can get traction. You can stand out from the crowd to unleash your God-given potential, to help a world in need, to do work that matters, to earn what you and your family deserve. You can do this. You're meant to do this. There are bright things on the horizon for you. This is the way. Welcome to the workshop. Get hired fast without settling, getting ignored, or losing hope, so you can do work that matters and earn what you and your family deserve. My name is Eric Woodard. I'm a high-performance career and leadership coach based out of Washington, D.C. And if you're here live on this Monday for this workshop, I really want to acknowledge you for being here. You know, there's a lot of things you could be doing with your time. And if you're here live, you're awesome. And I know a lot of you will be watching the replay of this. So if you're watching the replay of this a little later, that's okay too. You're also pretty cool. And we're going to get started today. We've got a small but mighty crowd because look, folks, sometimes being on a job hunt can feel a lot like pounding sand. Sometimes it can feel like waiting on a glacier. Other times it can feel a lot like wandering through the desert, or going into an arena, or looking into an abyss. So if you are somebody who's sort of super casual about your career, not really willing to do much work, reluctant to take responsibility for the results you've been getting, really just interested in finding a job to make money, sort of stuck in your ways and closed-minded about trying new things, or unwilling to be authentic, you're probably not going to get a lot out of this workshop. On the other hand, if you are somebody who's unsure about the direction you want your career to go, if you're struggling to find ways to describe what you do, if you're uncertain if your resume is any good, if you're wrestling with how to follow up after you apply, if you're tired of applying and hearing nothing back, if you've been doing interviews that seem to go great and you get a big fat no, if you're trapped in a job that you don't like and you're not sure how you can escape, and most of all, if you're losing hope, you're going to want to pay attention. So our agenda for today, I'm just going to really briefly tell you who I am, where I'm coming from. Some of you probably are like, I got this weird message from this guy on LinkedIn, and who the hell is this guy? And by the way, if you would, I see you there, Janet. Nice to meet you. If you would, put in the chat where you're from and how long you've been on the job search, because I'd like to know who's here, right? Again, we've got a small and mighty crowd, but I'm just going to tell you a little bit about where I'm coming from. Again, 4 strategies and 9 tactics that you can put to work right now to elevate your job search. We're going to have some time for Q&A. And guys, for people who watch this call, as part of my practice, I offer a complimentary coaching call. Like I do these just as a form of service, right? Some people do these calls and they wind up signing up for my program, and a lot of people don't. And either way is fine. So if you're interested in getting a complimentary coaching call, that's the link, right? Jessica and Chris are here helping us today. Jessica just dropped it in the chat. You can book a call. Again, if you're somebody who's going to book a call and, you know, wants to keep doing it on their own, or you're going to book a call and cancel, or you're sort of not even open to the idea of investing to get help, or you're really not ready to get hired, please don't book a call. On the other hand, if you're somebody who is looking for help with their job search, is going to show up, open to investing yourself, ready to get hired now, book a call. That's the form to do it. And then hi, Anushri from Toronto, right? Great job, man. Nice to meet you. I'm actually going to be in Toronto in a couple weeks. So glad to have you here, Anushri. Anyhow, for those of you looking, you know, to like get help with your job hunt, book a call and we'll see what we can get handled. So guys, I'm just going to tell you briefly about myself, right? I grew up overseas. I didn't come to the States till I was 18. I wound up transferring college 7 times, wound up eventually as a scuba instructor on the island of Guam. That was pretty cool, right? Spent about 10,000 hours underwater with the fish, but that got me thinking, right? I was like, I got to really pull my career together. So I thought, what would be the most prestigious job I could have? And I thought, well, that must be something like the White House, right? So I took one day, I had a day off. I had a dry day, right? I took out a piece of notebook paper and I hand wrote a letter. I said, "Dear Mr. President, you should hire me." Worst cover letter ever written. I put that in the mail and sent it off. I'm like, I'm never hearing back about that thing. Of course I didn't, right? And about a month later, I was going past the Guam post office. The guy came out. I was like, "Eric, you got a letter on White House stationery." And I was like, well, that's kind of cool. I opened it up. and it was an internship application. Now, I didn't know what the hell an internship was, but I was really good at filling out applications because I transferred college so many times. So I filled that out, sent it in. I'm like, I'm never hearing back about that. Of course, I didn't. And that got me inspired. I applied to some grad schools. I applied to GW here in Washington, D.C., and I got in. I sort of landed with this big bushy haircut, was dumpster diving for furniture, was out running past the White House one day, and I thought, those White House bastards, they never even bothered to let me know about that internship thing. What's up with that? So I found a payphone. I put in a quarter. I said, hey, you bastards, what about that internship thing? They're like, is this Eric from Guam? I'm like, yeah, but I'm in D.C. now. They're like, man, we've been trying to get in touch with you. You start in the First Lady's office on Monday. I'm like, well, that's interesting. So I got a haircut and I bought a suit and I showed up. Now, look, folks, this was a long time ago. I don't know my politics match yours. I guess please forgive me if they don't. But this is going to tell you how old I am. This is back during the Clinton administration. I went to work for Hillary Rodham Clinton. She was a great boss. Wound up getting hired on her staff, was with her a lot of the Clinton administration. The end of that, I followed her to the U.S. Senate, where we represented the great state of New York. We ended up following her again to the U.S. State Department some years later. When she became Secretary of State, I did a bunch of stuff for UNESCO on behalf of the United States. Eventually left Hillary Land, became Director of Fellowships and Internships at the Smithsonian Institution. And all during that time, people at all different levels in their career, all different industries, I would see the same movie over and over, where people who were meaning to do well in the world, right? Dent the universe. Hey, Janet, you just booked a call. Nice job. We look forward to talking to you. Way to go, Janet. Right? Janet's getting a free coaching call. Right? So well-meaning people running into the same thing over and over again, where trying to figure out their career stuff. So about 6 years ago, I started my own coaching practice. Right? I give a lot of talks, do a lot of coaching, written a bunch of books, have an outrageous number of very impressive pieces of paper, glowing testimonials, and you don't care about any of that. Because what you care about is, can I help you? I don't know, probably, maybe. I bet I can. Let's find out. So here's my first question for you. What's a good resume about? Now, a lot of you would probably say, well, a good resume is about you. Nah, good resume is not about you, right? You want to be influential with another person, right? Another person or organization. The first thing you want to talk about is not about you. It's about them, right? It's about them. And guys, we got a small enough crowd today. Feel free to put questions in the chat as we go. Like we'll if you've got questions about any of this, we'll get to them, right? A good resume is not about you. A good resume is about them. So look, my friends, if you get nothing else out of this workshop today other than this will be worth your price of admission. Right? Strategy number one, it's not about that. It's not about you. It's about them. And when I say resume, I'm talking about your resume, your cover letter, your follow-up, your networking, your interview. Make it about them. So many job seekers are focused on me. Let me tell you what I can do. Not compelling, doesn't work, right? Instead, you want to focus on them because that's who they're focused on. Right? Make the application about them. Make it all about them. And it's no wonder we think that a good resume is about us, because very likely the first resume we ever did was out of school. And in school, it is about us. It's our cubby. It's our desk. It's our worksheet. It's our trophy. It's our diploma. It's our transcript. And yet when we move to the working world, it's not about us anymore. It's about them. So that's the opportunity here, is we're going to want to make it about them. All right. We're just getting warmed up here. Got another question for you, right? If I went to a library and I saw a shelf full of storybooks and I pulled one of those storybooks off and I looked at the front cover, right, there'd be some words. What do we call those words in English, right? What do we call those words? It's title. Now, isn't it interesting that that's the same term we use to label people in the workplace, which tells me that just like we'll slap a title on the front cover of a storybook, we'll also slap the title on the story of somebody's career, which brings us to the idea of stories, right? So many job seekers are focused on, well, I got to have data. I got to have data. People make data-driven decisions. No, they don't, right? You know what percent of human decision-making is emotional and what percent is logical? It's 100% emotional. And the reason we know it's 100% emotional is when somebody gets their limbic system damaged, they're fine, except they can't make a single decision. And that's the debilitating part. Human decision-making is 100% emotional. And the reason stories are so important is stories are how we convey emotion. It's like what Maya Angelou said, right? People won't remember the data. They'll remember how you made them feel. So that's why stories are so important. So if you're not using story in your stuff, you're really leaving a lot on the table, right? You're going to want to incorporate stories into your stuff. It's really important, right? Our ability to process story is like orders of magnitude greater than our ability to process data, right? It's human decision making is 100% emotional, right? And it's very quick. Now, we might rationalize some of those emotional decisions later with data, but the original decision is always emotional. Okay. So I'll tell you a story. Notice I'm telling a story. One time I was taking applications for a program, and there was this woman named Maggie, and all the applications were the same, except Maggie shared this story in her application, how she'd been in a terrible car accident the summer before and her arm had been severed. I was like, wow, that's quite a story, right? So I was like, so we accepted Maggie to the program. First day, waiting for one-armed Maggie to show up, right? She shows up, 2 arms. Now, it was bandaged from where it had been partially severed and reattached, and Maggie was doing some physical therapy. Was I pissed off that Maggie had 2 arms? Of course not. I was so happy she had both arms, and I remember that story to this day because of how it made me feel. That's the power of story. So you're going to want to use story in your stuff. All right, guys, some of you may know this guy. Some of you have seen this film. This is Napoleon Dynamite. Now, for those of you who haven't seen this fine piece of cinema, first of all, stop your job search and go watch this movie. Come on, folks. We're trying to create a society here. And I don't want to ruin the movie for you. Napoleon's a high school kid. He lives in Idaho. In this particular scene, he's on stage in front of his entire school. And he's on the hook to do some sort of performance for which he has not performed. Now, he's managed to get a cassette tape up to the sound booth. It's starting to play. And Napoleon's got to decide what he's going to do. So what does Napoleon do? He proceeds to do this dance. I mean, he metaphorically opens the kimono. It is wild, right? Napoleon does this dance. And when he's done, he's kind of sweating and panting. And all of his classmates are like this. And then they burst into applause, as weird as the dance was. And the reason it works is because it's so authentic, right? Jamie Kern-Lima, the founder of IT Cosmetics, says everybody's a good dancer if they commit fully. And she's right. This brings us to the idea of authenticity. Right? Authenticity. Let me ask you a question. Who do humans hire? I'll tell you, it's humans. And the reason we know it's humans is because, like, some of you are thinking about ATS, right? What about the algorithm, right? Eric, I've heard that I need an ATS. Nah, right? Humans hire humans, right? There's no ATS system in the world that hires humans. And by the way, those of you who've been working so hard to sort of trick the ATS system, or maybe you've hired somebody to make you an ATS friendly resume. How's that working? I already know, and I'm so sorry. It doesn't work very well because at the end of the day, all of that software, it's all different. And it's basically just a filing cabinet that companies use to figure out who's applied. But you don't have to take it so seriously. The opportunity instead is to connect with a real live human. Right? That's how my clients get hired real damn fast. So for instance, one time I was working with Nina, and Nina had a pretty good looking resume. And I was like, Nina, where's the evidence on your resume that you're human? She sort of looked at me like I was crazy. And she's like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, what do you like to do for fun? She's like, well, I have a pen collection. I'm like, well, that's super effing weird. We got to put that on there. She's like, no, I could never do that. So I argue with Nina for about 30 minutes. And I'm like, okay, well, don't put it on there. See what happens. So I hear from her a month later. She went into the interview. They talked about pens for 30 minutes, and then she got the job offer. I cannot tell you how often this happens with people I work with. You're going to want to give them evidence that you are a human. It's really, really important. And that's one of the things we do in my program. Authenticity is your superpower. All right. Abe Lincoln, give me 6 hours to cut down a tree. I'll spend the first 4 sharpening the axe. This brings us to the idea of systems, right? The results you're currently getting in your job search are perfectly attuned to your current system. If you're not getting the results you want, hey, William P. booked a call. Nice job, William. We look forward to talking to you. William P. booked a coaching call. Nice job, right? If the results you're currently getting aren't the results you want, it's not that there's anything wrong with you. It's just that your system isn't working. Right? That's all that's wrong with you. And now some of you have a system called it's the economy. Some of you have a system called, well, I'm going to put the title of the job I'm applying for at the top of my resume. That'll show them. Some of you have a system called I'm going to hide my age, Or maybe I'm going to take off all my experience, but the last 15 years, because some 20-something recruiter told me to do that, right? Some of you have a system called, I'm going to put on a cloak of invisibility, and I'm not going to let people know that I'm looking for a job. Now, I'm not here to say if those systems are good or bad. I just know that my experience, they don't work very well, right? Guys, this is the system a lot of you have been using. And I got to hand it to you. You've done so much with this system, right? You got the sticky gear shift and the button, and you've tried every permutation possible, right, to steer your job search to success. Here's what you don't know. This is the system that's available. Now, you could spend a lot of time and money figuring out how to go from this system to this system, or you could just get some help, right? And that probably the thousands of dollars you're losing in opportunity costs every month because you insist on trying to figure out how to go from this system to this system yourself. Like, you could just get some help and we could just get this handled for you, right? So how do you put this all to work? All right, guys, first of all, I just want to show you that it does work. So there was a woman, this was a little over a year ago. Her name was Angel. She came to this workshop. She saw a lot of this stuff. She booked a free coaching call. She wound up signing up for the program, and here was her result. In the time we've got left, I'm curious, especially if there's somebody we haven't heard from yet. They've had a win, a loss. Angel, I got to ask you, what do we know, if anything? What do we know?
I got the job! Yay!
Whoa!
The offer. I'm moving in a week. Yeah, it's crazy. And I know when we first met, you're like, oh, let's get something by your birthday. And my birthday is in 4 days, so I was able to do it. Yay!
And I just want to acknowledge you. You dove in, you did it, you did the work.
Thank you.
Way to go.
It would have been possible without signing up for this program, truly. I think it made the difference for me.
So good, Angel.
Yeah.
Really happy for you.
Yeah.
Super awesome. Congratulations to you. Yeah. Yay, Angel. Yay, Angel. All right, guys. So how do you put this all to work, right? So again, I just want to remind you the program I mentioned earlier, as part of this this workshop, if you're here watching the replay, I offer complimentary coaching calls. Now, again, if you're somebody who's gonna really just not wanting to change anything about you've been doing, you're sort of closed-minded, or you're going to book a call and cancel, please do not book one of these calls. These calls are not for you. On the other hand, if you're somebody who's going to, looking for help with their job search, you're going to, book a call and show up when you say you're going to book up. You're at least open to the idea of investing in yourself and you're ready to get hired. Book a call, right? Sometimes people do these calls and they sign up for my larger programs, and a lot of times they don't. It's pretty rare that people walk away from these calls without some great coaching. And these are real coaches, the same coaches that coach people in my program. And if you're looking for some help, come talk to us. Because, if we think we can help you, we'll tell you. And if not, we'll tell you that too. Either way, you're going to get some massive insight. That's the form to book a call if you haven't already. I know Janet did a little bit earlier. We look forward to seeing you, Janet. And more to come for you. More to come for you. All right, guys. So here we go. 9 tactics that you can use to get hired fast right now. Okay, guys, here's the metaphor. Let's say there's a lake, and in the middle of the lake, somebody's drowning. Okay, so there's a lake, and in the middle of the lake, somebody's drowning. Now, they're surrounded by other people in little boats. Okay, if this was a job search, who's the person drowning? What a lot of you might say is the person drowning is me. I feel like I'm drowning in my job search. I literally feel like I'm drowning. And here's the opportunity. Realize you're not the one drowning. It's the employer that's drowning. You're the one in the boat, right? And so the danger of proceeding along our job search feeling as though we're the one drowning is if the one reason they're going to hire us is we make them feel safe and we ourselves don't feel safe, they're not going to take our hand, right? If we row up to them, they're like, hey, let me save you. I'm the one to rescue you. The person drowning, the employer will be like, well, I'm looking to get out of this water, but I'm not taking your hand because that's creepy, right? Needy is creepy. Right? So instead, we want to come from a place of service. We want to come from a place, instead of saying, hey, I'd be the best one to rescue you from the water. We instead want to say, hey, looks like you're in the water. That must be scary. Let's have a conversation about how you might be able to get out of the water. What's important here is not that I'm the one that's going to save you. What's important here is you don't drown and die. And when we come from that place of service, it's really, really powerful, right? Nobody wants to be sold. Guys, nobody, if you've been out there busy selling yourself in your job search, nobody wants that. What they want to be is served, right? That's the opportunity. And again, this is sort of like if you can get your mind around this one element in your job search, it will change everything. All right, guys, got another question for you. Some of you have seen the show Deadliest Catch, right? Where Alaskan fishermen put these big steel crab pots on the bottom of the ocean floor working to catch some crab, right? Now, what happens is Charlie the crab comes along. He's like, oh, free lunch. So Charlie jumps in, and Bob and Cheryl and all the crabs. But eventually the bait's gone. Now, here's the interesting part. When the bait's gone and a crab decides to climb out, the other crabs will pull that crab back in. They'll even pull off one of their crab arms. They'll even do a crab murder to keep that crab in, right? Because that's how crabs roll. Crabs like to be with other crabs. And the sad part is they all get pulled up to become dinner. And this brings us to our environment. A lot of people don't even consider this in their job search, right? Environment. And environment is part of the system we talked about earlier, right? You're going to want to have environment as part of your system, right? Because environment eats motivation for lunch in terms of getting hired. And when I say your environment, I'm talking about your physical environment, your emotional, your psychological, spiritual environment, learning environment, digital environment. It all really matters. And if you don't pay attention to it, you're going to be just like one of those crabs that gets pulled up. Hey, Arlette D just booked a coaching call. Nice job, Arlette. We look forward to talking to you. Good job. Right? Some of you are familiar with the idea of reference groups, right? You're the average weight, income, education, the 5 people you hang out with most. So if you don't have a community of people that are lifting you up, it's only going to drag you down. Now, for some of us, it's our family environment, and we may have family members that love us and they just want us to settle and take $50,000 left because they're trying to protect us because they don't want to see us in pain from getting rejected so many times. And it comes from a loving place, and it's not particularly helpful. So a lot of times people, when they join my program, right, just getting their environment dialed in alone changes everything in their job search. It's really important. A lot of people miss it. All right, I got another one for you guys. It's hard to hit a blurry target. This brings us to the idea of vision, right? You may know the proverb, where there is no vision, people perish. I would argue where there is no vision, the job seekers don't get hired, right? Sometimes I'll ask people, I'll say, Gomer, how much money do you want to make? And he'll say, well, anywhere between $50,000 and $150,000. I'm like, that's beautiful, Gomer. And then I'll say, Gomer, what do you want to do? Well, I want to help people. I'm like, that's beautiful. And it's really vague, right? This has to do with a thing called the reticular activating system, right? Our brain will literally be blind to anything we don't ask it to see. Literally, right? This is like going to buy a new car and you're like, nobody's got this car. And you drive off the lot and you see the car 5 times, right? This is what the reticular activating system does, right? There's a reason when race car drivers drive 500 miles in a circle that they don't look at the outer wall, because that's where the car will tend to go, right? So if you don't have vision in your job search, you're just going to be like one of those race car drivers driving 500 miles in a circle. Sound familiar? All right, guys, here's a question for you. If I went to the store and I bought this, what would I be buying, right? Some of you may say a drill, right? I'd be buying a drill, and you'd be wrong. What I'm actually buying when I go to the store and buy this is I'm actually buying holes. And this brings us to the idea of giving people safety, right? When I buy this, I'm actually buying holes. I don't need this sitting around my garage. What I actually want are some holes. And actually, I don't even want some holes in my wall. That sounds disturbing. What I actually want is a place to put the hook. Actually, I don't want a bunch of hooks coming out of my walls. That sounds dangerous. Gash my arm open. What I really want is a place to hang the picture. And I actually don't even want that. What I want is the feeling that I get when I look at the picture of my family that's hanging on the hook, that's in the hole that was made by the drill. And this brings us to the idea of safety, right? A lot of people are spinning their wheels talking about themselves. Me, 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 me. And that's just a hot disaster, right? Some of you are talking about them and you're talking about the drill instead of the thing that keeps them up at night when they're laying in bed trying to go to sleep. There's only one reason they will hire you, and it's not your skills, it's not your experience, it's not any of that stuff. It's that they trust you. And the way that we build trust is by making them feel seen, heard, and understood, by talking about the thing that keeps them up at night. If you can get to that black swan, you don't have to worry about the 1,000 fake people that LinkedIn says applied to that job. It doesn't matter, because you'll be in a different category, a different league than all of your competition. This is how my clients get hired fast. Do you see how this is so much more sophisticated? Hey, Sarah D, you booked a call. Nice job. We look forward to talking to you, Sarah. Right? Do you see how this is so much more sophisticated than worrying about ATS systems or hiding your age or having an executive summary at the top of your resume? Like, what is that about? A bunch of stuff about me without context. It just doesn't work, right? How can you make them feel seen, heard, and understood? You get to that, your job search is going to be real short. All right, guys, next tactic. Here it is, resumes, paper, right? So many people are looking to do best practices when it comes to their resumes. Don't do that. It's a form of professional camouflage. You're going to want to realize that resumes, cover letters, follow-up, it all matters in terms of what you say, how you say it, where you send it, when you send it, to whom you send it. It all matters. And so the opportunities, you're going to want to convey that stuff in a way that they cannot ignore, in a way that nobody else is doing it. See, look at my resume. I got hyperlinks. I got logos, right? This is the most unique resume for me. What's the version for you, right? That's what I'd be curious about. All right, guys, we're moving along here. Tactic number 6. If a job application is submitted and there is no follow-up, does it even make a sound? I would humbly suggest that it doesn't. This brings us to tactic number 6, which is follow-up. Some of you apply for jobs and you're like, well, hope I hear back on that one. How's that going? Right? The opportunity is to follow up from a place of service, right? If we were in the boat and we said, hey, and there was somebody floating face down in the water, and we said, hey, buddy, you okay? And they didn't move, we wouldn't be like, don't want to bug them. No, we'd splash them, right? We'd jump in, right? We'd flip them over. We'd start doing mouth to mouth. And if they came up too and they were like, lady, I was just snorkeling, we'd be like, my bad. And we'd be willing to offend in the name of service. That's how we want to follow up. So you're going to want to follow up every time you apply. And by the way, you're not going to want to follow up with the recruiter, because they are professionally trained ninjas at keeping you apart from the hiring manager. Now, some of you are probably saying, but Eric, you dodo, you dum-dum, I would follow up, but I don't always know who to follow up with. I got you covered. I got a course. It's called How to Contact Anybody. Here's how you get the course. Step 1, you're going to go to my LinkedIn page. Thank you, Jessa. You're going to go to my LinkedIn page and you're going to follow me. And then you're going to send me a message through InMail on LinkedIn, and the message is going to have a single word, and that word is chicken. Right? So you're going to go to my LinkedIn, you're going to message me, and you're going to send me the single word chicken. Thank you, Chris and Jessa, right? And I'll send you this course, How to Contact Anybody, and you'll get this course for free. And then figuring out how to contact people will never be an issue for you again, because you're going to want to follow up. People believe what you show them more than what you tell them, and initiative is rewarded. All right, guys, we're on to tactic number 7. Some of you have been to the Academy Awards, or you've seen it on TV, and the actress, she gets up there, she accepts a big prize, and then she's like, well, I got nobody to thank. And all the movie stars are sort of looking around. It's a little bit awkward. No, that's not how it works. She gets up there and she's like, I want to thank this person and this person and this person. They're trying to play music, trying to get her off. When we ask others for help, it makes us stronger, not weaker. And by the way, asking others for help is a gift, right? If you've been on your job hunt and you haven't been asking every single human earthling you know for help, it's an opportunity. And by the way, you're going to want to have a system for this. No one-offs, because that's like putting a single line in the water, trying to get the right bait on the right fish in the right place at the right time. I mean, good luck with that. The ocean is quite vast. So instead, what you're going to want to do is filter the ocean, and then you don't have to worry about where the jobs are, because you're everywhere. A lot of times when people join my program, this is the thing that moves the needle the most. Truly, right? They have a system for networking. This is everything. All right, guys, we're trucking right along here. Let's talk about interviews. Here it is, guys. Here's the single best interview advice in the world. I'm just going to go ahead and give it to them, guys. Here it is. You're not going to want to answer their questions. Don't do that. Don't answer their questions, because they're really, in an interview, they're really only ever asking one question. And that question is this: can I trust you? That's it. That's the only question they're really ever asking, right? Now they may say things like, tell me about a time, you took a risk, or tell me about your greatest professional achievement. Hey, Matt, you just booked a call. Good job. We look forward to talking to you, Matt, right? They may ask all those questions, and really what they're only ever asking is, can I trust you? Now, we could spend a lot of time and energy actually asking the questions they don't care about, or we could give answers and tell stories that help build trust. That's what you're going to want to do. A lot of times people, they've had this habit where they've gone to a bunch of interviews and they've gotten almost to the end, and then they get the big fat no. If that's you, there's only one reason that they're not hiring you. It's because they don't trust you, or they trust somebody more, or they don't trust themselves. But there's a trust issue somewhere. So what you're going to want to do is give answers that build trust. Watch everything change. All right, guys, final tactic. Here we go. Offers. Two things when it comes to offers. First one is when we're looking at job boards, we don't have to worry so much about whether we're qualified. They'll have an opinion, and theirs is the one that probably matters more. And two, we don't have to worry if we want a job unless and until it is offered. So what that means is you don't have to worry about whether you're qualified for a job or you want the job unless and until they give you the offer. Because unless and until that happens, you really don't know what you're saying yes or no to. So what that enables you to do is really free things up and apply from a place of freedom, right? That's the opportunity here. Applying liberally from a place of service. It really matters. Guys, I know I went through that super fast. Hey, Devin, you booked a call. Nice job, Devin. We look forward to talking to you, right? Here's what you're going to want to write down. 4 strategies, 9 tactics that you can use to elevate your job search today. This is the whole ball game. Now, look, folks, I mentioned before, right? If you're watching the replay or you're here live and you haven't already booked a coaching call, as some people already have, this is something I do as part of my practice, right? People show up for this call. They get good coaching always. And for some people, they decide, they want to work longer with us. That's great. For others, they're like, I'm good, right? I want to keep doing it on my own. But either way, you get some coaching. Remember, if you're somebody who's going to book a call and cancel, this call is not for you. If you think there's a chance you're going to book it and cancel, please do not book a call. My team's not that big. On the other hand, if you're open to, keeping the appointment that you schedule, you're going to show up, you're open to investing in yourself, you're ready to get hired, you're just unwilling to keep doing this on your own to get the same results you've been getting, book a call. Let's see what we can get handled. Jessica just dropped the link in the chat. And yeah, I have a program. It's pretty amazing. It gets a lot of people hired fast. If you're interested in knowing more about it, you'll book a call. But guys, that's all I've got for you today. I'm curious if anybody has any questions, and we've got a small and mighty group, so we probably don't have too many questions, but I just want to give people a chance to get their voice in the room. I know a lot of you have already booked a call, which is fantastic. And I just want to say to you, my friends, if you've been on the job hunt for a while and, this seems daunting, you don't have to keep doing this on your own. At least if you're here in the US in the Northern Hemisphere, like things are getting a little brighter, right? Weather's getting a little warmer, like things are springing forth. There's bright things on the horizon for you. You can get this job stuff handled. And if you're looking to get a little help doing it, please know that you don't have to keep doing this on your own. I'm cheering for you. Guys, we're going to play a few testimonials of people that have gotten help. They decided they didn't want to keep doing it on their own. I'm gonna start us off here playing a little testimonials, and know that you can get help if you're looking for it. And I just am cheering for you 100%. Take care, my friends. Nice to have you here today.
My name is Charlotte Jones. I got a new position and I got hired pretty fast in the last month of being with Win at Work. So I have been searching for a job for a little over 7 months, and I've been at Win at Work for just a month, for about 40 days. So I do really like the one-on-one, the one-on-one time that I get with a coach or a career coach, counselor. And I also like that interaction and listening to the successes and the stories of how someone might be thinking about their job search, or how they might want to present themselves during interview, what may work and what hasn't worked. And I'd like to hear those stories from others, because I found that I was having some of the same experiences. And then really when it came down to getting an offer and being able to connect with Eric directly and really get that one-on-one coaching, that was truly helpful. I felt like that was a white glove service that was worth, getting involved with and connecting with Win at Work.
Well, first, will you tell us your name?
Jeff Borker. I just want to thank all of you guys. I didn't know how fast this was going to work. And you guys have all been great. I mean, all the feedback that I've gotten from you and from Eric and from Diana and the group as a whole is very supportive, very, very uplifting. Everyone's willing to help out. And it's just been a great experience. It's something that I won't forget. It's something that I'm going to take a lot of these concepts into my work activity. The job that I'm going into really is a dream job for me. I was just like, this is something I have to do, because 2.5 years of doing the same thing, again, nothing was working. I was getting rejections, I was getting ghosted, but I would say put any predispositions away, go into it with an open mind, do the webinar, do the introductory call, and really just do it, because it works.
Oh gosh, this is going back in my memory. I would say I was probably searching for 2.5, 3 months before I came across Win at Work. I saw Eric. I had probably sent 20 resumes and I had had 2 different sets of interviews and never got any further. All I kept hearing was it is very competitive. It's so much different. And I just thought, you know what? Why am I doing this on my own? I need to find an expert to help me. I was in the midst of looking when I came across one of Eric's ads. It was an invitation to join a webinar. And so I did. He was great at building up and telling you what you needed to do and draw you in. I will say right off the gate, it was a completely different approach to job searching. Applying for jobs just isn't a fun thing. And it's easy to get burned out and it's easy to start thinking negatively and you just don't want to do it anymore. But you guys were always there, kept encouraging us to keep doing it. And so I did. So having that support to urge me to keep going was one. Number 2, the completely different format for the resume was amazing. It was like nothing that I had ever seen before. I have received a number of comments. I felt much more confident sending out that polished cover letter and that polished resume. How long does it typically take for someone in the Win at Work program to get a job? And he gave percentages, and I don't remember what they were, but X amount in the first 6 weeks. And then I think it was a larger percentage in the first 3 months. And I'm like, okay, that's what I need to aim for is those first 3 months. And I wasn't too far. I may have been a week or 2 past that, but what he said was true. So that's exciting. And I feel like I got the best of everything I was looking for.
Hi, I am Marcia Gomes. I am, I guess you could say, a recent graduate of Get Hired Fast because I did get hired and pretty fast. I am currently in my 2nd week at my new position after having gone through the Get Hired Fast Win at Work programming and methodology. And I don't think it's exaggeration and hyperbole to say that this program absolutely was the kicker in getting me to where I am right now. So very thankful, very learned a lot and a lot of shifting in perspective. And I think that was super instrumental in kind of changing the way I approached my job search and my job hunt and eventually getting to where I am and landing this really cool position that I'm in now. Yeah.
It's Bethany Meadows. I joined Win at Work in June 30th. I'm currently working a position as a CRM project manager at a college in Miami, Florida. All the different components of the program, the network bomb, the power hours, the co-working sessions, the job coaching, put together a really good strategy and it helped me give me an approach to be able to do job search that was more holistic in terms of being able to not only think about applying for a job or whether or not I was qualified for it, but also to thinking about my attitude about the job search itself. And so that's something that really was important for me coming out of being unemployed for like over a year and being laid off from a job that I've been at for about 9 years. So I had a long stretch of unemployment, did other job search programs before, some paid, some unpaid. And I found that with Win at Work, there was just a large part of it was the mentality and just changing my thinking around how I approach a job search.
I started job searching a month before I started the program. It took me between 6 months and a year since COVID to find contract jobs. So when I got the notification, the Win at Work, Get Hired Fast, it was called Get Hired Fast email, I just knew immediately this was the way to go to quicken the time. I immediately jumped on this because in the past, it had just taken so long to find work and find the right kind of work. I mean, I've had in my career a couple of really horrible contracts, and I knew my biggest problem in getting hired was first my resume. I felt comfortable about interviewing with companies. The interviews I was not worried about. It really was the resume. Doing that master resume from beginning to end with everything on it was incredibly freeing. I joined on 5/29 on an 8/11. I had not only a job offer, but the job offer that I wanted. And that was incredible. When I got immersed in this whole program, there are so many great things here. Just learning all these new tools and tips. And it was the power hours. They were boosters. And I love the fact that they had a theme every week as you were, going through this process. And it was just so comforting to have that. And then the individual coaching sessions, those were great.